Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Living in the Limelight, an Anton Scholl and Friends podcast where we discuss music from the artist and fan perspective. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to another episode of Living in the Limelight. I am your host, Anton Scholl, and with me today from Velvet Crush and KBTB is Kelly Baer. How are you, Kelly?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Anton?
Very good, very good. Thanks.
Thanks
Well,
for
we
having
got some stuff to go over today. There is you got two musical projects going on right now, but first, let's find out about you in general. When did you all of a sudden realize that you were going to be on stage singing these songs and your background as far as music goes?
I still don't know if I've realized yet that I'm actually getting to do this, but so I moved to Arizona December of 2019, right before COVID. I always like to. I'm born and raised in New York, and I lived in Jersey before I came here. I always went out for music. I always went to see bands, and dancing kind of was a thing. When I got here and started going out, I just would go to some clubs where there was live music. I ended up at State 48 up in Happy Valley, and I was watching a band called Bench Warrant, who ended up becoming some good friends after that. But the sound guy came over and was starting to talk to me. He saw that I was wearing a spiral on my necklace, and he asked me if I was following Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers. And I said, I'm sorry, what, who is that? I don't even know what that means. And he showed me he had a tattoo with the spiral and the Roger Clyne emblem. So we got to talking and we started hanging out. His name is Trevor, and he's a sound guy. So I started to help him with the sound company, and I was hauling speakers and I was plugging things in and I was hanging around the scene. And the Bench Warrant band, they just started having me up for shaking a tambourine or playing the wah-wah pedal. And that was kind of sort of the beginning of just getting into the scene and meeting people and learning about the bands and everything. But the actual singing part didn't come in till about a year later, where we were, Trevor was doing his sound for a band called Last Train Juarez. And he was at their rehearsal. He had gotten a new guitar, and the one guitarist for the band, steel guitar, Mark Tomio, he picked up Trevor's guitar and just started strumming and playing, I think it was Billy Joel, New York State of Mind. And I was sitting there and I just started humming along, and he goes, why don't you sing this? And I said, I don't do that. He goes, just sing this. And
Wow.
He said, you have good pitch. And I said, huh? And that was kind of the beginnings of a duo with Trevor called KBTB. And then around early last year, decided I wanted to have a full band. And so Velvet Crush was born about a little over a year ago now, about a year and a half ago.
So Trevor.
Yes.
That's Trevor Beckway. That is from
Yes.
Beckway Studios, right out here. Yes, yeah. Trevor's very well known in the music circuit out here. Does a lot of work with a lot of bands and some that I have interviewed. And obviously, Trevor, very accomplished musician. So how with that you do what, like an acoustic show or some kind of between the two of you?
Yeah, Trevor and I do. It's basically classic rock and southern rock and some country, a duo, acoustic duo. And I sing. I don't really play an instrument in front of people yet, aside from the tambourine and maybe the kazoo. And Trevor plays guitar and sings. And Trevor also has a band called Snakeskin Rodeo that he started about a year and a half ago as well. So he has his full band project. I have my full band project. And I also have an acoustic duo with my guitar player, Butch Bobcat from Velvet Crush. So we also do a duo as well.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about Velvet Crush then for a moment, because it's a well-known cover band doing the circuit in Phoenix area. How did that band get started? And then I want to talk about the selection of songs, because here's the one thing I find very interesting about you is that the one thing that really happens with vocalists, and me being one of them, we always start out at such a young age because we see what's going on with the music out there. So like I started singing, way back when I was a kid, and I've really wanted to do that for that's what I wanted to do. But some people, and especially like in your case, did not even kind of have that on their radar. It was just something that kind of popped up. Someone said, "Hey, why don't you sing this?" And you went ahead and did it, and had no idea, and then became a singer out of that. So to me, I find that fascinating, because I think it's great that, a talent can come out of that just by somebody saying, "Hey, why don't you go ahead and try to sing this and see what happens?" And then this thing is born, So I think that's fascinating. So now that you're into Velvet Crush, tell me about that band and how that band got going.
So it was February of last year. I decided I wanted to, a lot of musician friends, the way things kind of evolved is musician friends have you come up and, do a couple songs here and there. And so actually someone said, "You should play with a band." And I said, I can't do that. I don't know if I could do that. And then little by little thinking about it, I love the feeling. When I'm there, I never had any idea I could do this. I didn't know how I would feel doing this. I mean, it was terrifying the first couple of times getting up there with Trevor and the duo. I mean, I've definitely evolved in terms of my vocal range and performance wise. I'm still learning a lot of things, but I thought, yeah, I want to do a band scenario. So I got on Facebook and I was looking at all the pages, vocalists wanted, and I responded to a few. And then I saw something that Butch had posted on one of the, Arizona band musicians wanted something like that. And he came out to see me and Trevor at an acoustic duo show. And then he was in. He was, he thought I was good enough to join him. And then the two of us kind of filled out. We looked for the rest of the band and filled it out. And we sat down and he's like, "What songs?" We just went back and forth kind of texting. "What songs do you like? What do you want to do?" And he sent me a list. And the very first song at the top of the list was Cotton Eye Joe. And I thought,
okay,
that's an interesting choice. Let me keep going down the list, but still on the radar, still on the back burner. I always sang along with the radio and, the 70s. I kind of have it's a special place in my heart for that stuff. So throw some disco funk in there, and who doesn't know, like all the popular 80s tunes, but we didn't want it to be always your same old stuff you hear all the time, this band is doing that song again. So we wanted to throw in some other things that but you don't normally get to hear all the time. And we're total variety band. So we just kind of keep throwing curveballs at you with different songs. And being from New York and New Jersey, country was not a thing. It was like you kind of have an aversion to country music when you're from that side of the world. So Trevor started introducing me to some more country stuff. And I thought, well, this song is kind of cool. And I like the groove on that song. And this is upbeat. So with the Velvet Crush, we picked some upbeat tunes. I never even heard like Mama's Broken Heart or, some of those, some of the songs that we do, I had never heard of before, but I enjoy singing them. And so now they're in the list. So that's how we kind of develop the whole. And as we go, it's like you listen to the radio, you think, oh, this one would be a fun one to do. So that's how things start to build.
So I want to go back to that first time, because that always interests me whenever I talk to artists, because I think a lot of people don't realize what it's like to be up on stage, to be up in front of people for the first time, and to be very vulnerable, because one, you have nothing in front of you. A lot of musicians can hide behind a guitar, or they have that instrument to hang on to. Drummers can hide behind their drum set, when they're playing.
Right.
Lead singers, completely different. Singers are just sitting there with a tiny microphone in front of them. That first time that you got on stage, obviously you've been practicing, you've been getting these shows together. That first time on stage, when that guitar intro started and you had to lean into the mic and sing that first note, do you remember what that was like?
So are we talking about the acoustic duo with Trevor? Because that was my first, or with the Velvet Crush?
The very first time the very first time. We'll talk about both, but the very first time you hit the stage.
I was petrified. I mean, people would afterward, they came up to me like, "You look like a deer in headlights." That was the comment I got. But yeah, I was really nervous, and acoustically, you're completely naked. I mean, it's just your voice. There's nothing there. It was interesting. It was the first show. We were at the monastery, Mesa. It's a outdoor music venue. We were gonna be opening up for a band that was nice enough to have us just do that, just to let us get up there, do like a little 45-minute thing. And the band was called Denami. It was in June or July of, it's like 3 years ago now. So, and it was going to be a big rainstorm. So monastery, it's outside. They canceled the show, and we were super, super bummed, but we reached out to the owner and we said, "Hey, if you want, we'll still come, and can we do our hour, whatever, we'll do it on the side where it's covered on their little side stage." We had told so many people, and we had a lot of people that were going to come to support. So they let us do that. And that was that. We had about 60 friends that came out for that. And yeah, there a lot of musician friends. So really extra terrifying. I remember just my heart pounding, and I was getting dressed in the bathroom, and I was sweating, and I was, you just hope that you remember everything you're supposed to remember. And as it went, a first song, second song, a little more comfortable. I kept, and I've gotten feedback on this too, I kept kind of looking over at Trevor for, just sort of validation or just comfort or something, like everything's okay. And I sort of kept doing that instead of really focusing out. It's really hard at first to like connect with the audience and perform at all. I kind of stood there. I didn't really move around that much because I'm just trying to think and keep everything straight. So that was the very first. If you want to know more about the Velvet Crush one, that was a really different scenario there.
Well, right, because it changed. Now you're talking about being up on stage, just a guitar player. You hear the opening part of the song, you start singing, and now the difference becomes, sure, you've done this now a few times, but now you start playing with an entire band. You got drums behind you, you got bass, you got an extra guitar, a louder guitar, because you're on, with electric. So now you've evolved into that. What was that first like, and how was it different?
So our very first show with Velvet Crush was September 10th of last year. It was at the 44. It was a benefit for a friend, and we were the last band of like, I think 8 bands on a Sunday evening. So I think there were 8 bands in front of us, and we went on at, I want to say 9 p.m. that night. So it was like a pretty packed house most of the day. And then, we had 8 bands opening for us for our very first show, right? I was just trying to not hyperventilate kind of thing. Like I was just trying to, because you have all day to sort of marinate in it and think about it. Right. I just remember being up there. I was having some trouble sound wise, so I was pushing a little harder than I normally would have had to do. But I just remember breathing was hard, like just belting it out and trying to breathe and catch up with the song and everything. But when we have a video on our Facebook page. Yeah, it's like on the front there. It's from that show. And it sound, as I look back, I'm like, okay, that was pretty good. I was really nervous and I was just trying to get out of my head and just kind of be present. And again, after maybe the second or third song, I kind of eased into it. My body relaxed some. I just, I was up there, I was in the moment and I wasn't so much in my head. But that very, very first song, yeah, it was just nerve-wracking and exhilarating all at the same time. So.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I know, and I've been through that, and we've all been through that. And again, people really don't realize what it's like to be up there, because you on stage, we don't hear what the audience hears. It's very different. We do have monitors, but sometimes, oh, I can't hear the guitar, or I can't hear the bass, or I can't follow something. I can't hear myself, which is a huge problem for singers. A lot is not being able to hear themselves, not having enough a monitor, or just not being able to hear themselves over another instrument, because stage volume becomes an issue. So there's so many different feels and so many different things being in a two-person acoustic band versus being in a full band.
Yeah.
So do you do anything to warm up? What do you do as a vocalist to get yourself ready and psyched up for these shows?
I really kind of don't do much. Sometimes I'll sing in the car on the way to the gig and just, brush up on a new tune or get into a song that I really love. I probably should, but I'm not, again, I have no training. I just sing the way I know how to sing from singing along with the radio. I probably should do some warm-up stuff, but I don't. I just get there and go.
Well, what's funny about that is that you're the second person. Okay. I speak to many musicians on this show, and a lot of them are singers. And the two people, you and Sylvie Thompson. Sylvie Thompson is a great singer, in this area also. And I interviewed her, and, for people like you, when it becomes natural, when you can just go up there to sing, for me, and I know in a lot of other people, we have to really work for it, because I have to be out there probably maybe 30 minutes before.
Okay.
And I have to be out in the parking lot doing, vocal exercises, and I'm working on, and believe me, if you start getting into vocal exercises, you don't want people seeing you do these exercises, because they're opening up of your mouth. You're doing yawning exercises. You're relaxing your throat. You're trying to relax your jaw muscles and all of these things. And you're doing like lip rolls and all of these different things. And it's so interesting how I have to do more work beforehand than I actually do on stage to perform. And some people can just go up there and do it naturally. So, I mean, kudos to you. I think that's great that you're able to do that.
I probably should, but yeah, I never really thought about it. I see, because, with Trevor and doing sound, I would see other musicians and kind of doing and kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing things and I mean, whatever works, but I'm a speech language pathologist. That's what I do during the day as a day job. So vocally, I should probably practice what I preach. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So now the songs that you guys are doing, what is the process? Sometimes when bands get together, when you have an acoustic act, it's just you and somebody else. You guys can talk about songs. You can listen to it. You can say, okay, yes, we can do this. Vocally, I'm not able to, or vocally, yes, I can kill this, but when you get into a band, now you have musicians, guitar player. Oh, well, I really want to show off my solo skills. So I want to play this song. Bass player. I don't want to sit there and play the same notes. I want I want to be able to move around the bass and to play and show off my talents. And drummers the same way. I don't just want to sit there and hold the beat. But yet everything revolves around if the singer could sing the song. So a lot of times what happens is each band member will pick 5 songs, bring it to the table of what they want to play, and then they get hashed out. How do you guys handle what gets played?
So in the beginning of Velvet Crush, Butch and I got together. We were still looking for band members, but we started just getting together. We took songs that we had texted each other, and we got, we had a list going, and we would get together and work out, first of all, if it's doable, and then next, what key I can sing it in. So because my voice is lower, in a lower range. So, and initially a year and a half ago, I just wasn't at a place where I was as dynamic as I am now. So we had to drop things down, everything, drop it down. I was singing a lot of, I do a lot of boy songs too. So we just got together and he'd work it out on guitar, and we called it like going to the gym kind of thing. Just, we needed each other to sort of push each other to figure out what we could do and what we wanted to do. So we basically developed that list from the get-go. We didn't have anybody else. So we just kind of started doing that. And as we got the band together and we started practicing with the full band, we would see like what worked, or, oh wait, this song kind of sounds like this song. Maybe we should try this song. And then we, sometimes my brain will think like, well, this kind of jives with this other one. Maybe we could do a little mashup. So that's how, like, we have a Kiss by Prince and Mustang Sally. We kind of mash those together. But in those practice rehearsal sessions, we would come up with things and kind of then, go on that trail over there, tangent off to that. But ultimately, the main list was created by Butch and I, and we wanted to also bring in some songs that, fun for the drummer and fun for the bass player. So we kind of also navigate around that as well.
Yeah, and then with those songs that you're doing now, so basically you guys came up with it. The other members came in here, learned these songs, and and then of course it kind of evolves from there.
Yeah.
When you're doing these songs, or when you're picking songs, I know that when I was singing in groups and I was in like a Rush tribute band, I was doing Led Zeppelin, I was doing a lot of, Journey, a lot of the higher end stuff when it came to vocal pitch.
Yeah.
And my downfall, the songs that I could not do were Nickelback. I could never do a Nickelback song. I could never do anything that had any type of a grunge or any type of a growl to my voice, because my voice was always smoother. Now, as I get older, that becomes a little more difficult to do the higher stuff, and the growly stuff becomes a little more easier. But that was like I had to let people know, that these are out. Was there any vocalists that were just out for you?
No, nothing specific that I can think of. Just what I tell Butch is when he says, "Hey, what about this one?" I'm like, "I'll try it. If I could sing it, I'll sing it. If I can't, then I can't." Or we could maybe figure out a way. I mean, there are just a couple tunes where I'm like, I just can't connect with that song like at all, and it wouldn't be fun for me, and it wouldn't be. It just wouldn't go over well. Like that's happened. I can't remember specifically what any of those were, but that's kind of more of the thing than let's try it out and I'll see if I could sing it. And go from there. Yeah.
Well, and because it is a little bit different for a singer to learn a song than it is for a guitar player or a bass player to learn the songs. I know that in some cases, drummers could listen to a song, figure out the beat, and be able to kind of make their way through it.
Right.
Bass playing and guitar playing is a little bit different because obviously you have to hit the right notes. And,
Okay, that
so
helps.
that becomes, so that becomes a little bit more different. So when, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to sit here and learn this entire song, and then we find out that we can't do it afterwards,
Yeah,
because it's really a lot. And
it's
that's the thing that I think as musicians, people don't realize this is not like when you're learning a song, you don't listen to it 2 or 3 times and then say, okay, I got it. You have to memorize the lyrics. You
yes.
have to memorize just how they're pronouncing words, how they're saying words, even if you do it in your own way. What is the average, time for you? Let's say someone throws a song at you. What is the average time and what is your process to actually learning that song?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know that I have a specific good answer for that. I mean, usually I'll kind of, probably like a week or so maybe to learn a song, but like we just kind of thinking of specific examples of like recent past and adding some new tunes. We started adding a couple of country tunes in there, some fun ones, and songs that I've never heard before. Learning the cadence, sort of
Right.
the cadence of the song. To me, that's a major part of things. We did. Butch brought to the table a tune called "Whiskey Glasses." It's a country song, and like never in my life heard this song before. So that even harder. If it's a song from the radio, it's going to be a little bit easier. I think it was like a week for me to learn that song.
And you had to listen to it quite a few times then, right? I mean, obviously you have to get it in your head.
Yeah, listening, and really a lot for me is in the car on the way to work, on the way home, on the way to another, event. That's when I kind of just go over and over and over and over on the song and listen to it, sing along to it, and get comfortable with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize is that when you're up on stage and you're singing a 3 or 4 minute song, they look at it as, it's like on the radio, you're singing a 3 or 4 minute song. It's no big deal. You probably literally put in, 40 to 60 hours of time, just trying to listen to a song. If you're doing a few of them, even just trying to figure out exactly how they're singing it, how they go up and down.
Yeah.
When you have to, there's just so many different things involved in trying to figure it out. But now, how do you handle the lyric end of it? Are you one who is able to memorize all these lyrics?
If I really kind of put my mind to it, yeah, they're like some of the new songs, they stick. They do definitely stick. I do, I have a crutch and I need my backup, and so I have some stuff there just in case I need some backup. But I would say, I know it better than I give myself credit for knowing it. So having the backup kind of messes you up sometimes too. But
yeah, I mean, I still do that. I still have like an iPad on stage, just in case. And I think it's funny. I mean, I could remember songs from from the 80s. I could remember each one of those lyrics.
Yeah.
But now if I try to learn something, it doesn't stick as well, and you need that little push now and then. You need that help, especially when you're doing cover bands and you guys are learning, 60 songs. It could be,
we have a large repertoire. Yeah. Yeah. But it's funny.
Right.
It's funny that you say that songs from long ago, like Butch brought to the table a couple weeks ago. He said, "What about Dolly Parton, 9 to 5?" Because we're trying to incorporate some country stuff. And I said, "I know that song backwards and forwards because I knew it when the song came out back then. I don't know, as a kid, for some reason I like that song. It's still in my head now. I didn't have to do anything except like sing along with it a couple times, and it was there. So
right, yeah, and that's the funny part about memory. I mean, people even say like they can remember their phone number back when they were a child, but now with all of the technology and everything going on, I mean, I couldn't tell you anybody's phone number now at this point because it's just sitting there. You know, I have
Right.
it in the phone. It's like you don't have to memorize as much as we had to anymore, you know? So now on the places that you play, are you doing with Velvet Crush, are you doing full like 4-hour shows?
Yeah. Yeah. Full 4-hour shows.
Okay. So usually those run, like 8 to midnight or something like that. Is that the norm about now?
Yeah. I mean, we have shows that are 8 to midnight, 9 to 1. my,
Wow.
my Sunday morning math. I'm counting on my fingers. Yeah. 9 to 1. I mean, we just got a gig where it's going to be 5:30 to 8:30. So with 3, I mean, it kind of varies, but the average would be like an 8 to midnight.
And what is your setup normally? Your setup time? Do you guys have to bring your own PA equipment, or do most of these venues have it?
No, they don't have it. We bring our own PA.
Really?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, we do that. And Butch, like again, Butch Bobcat guitar. He also is a sound guy, so he knows what he's doing on that end. And we bought the gear. We have everything good to go for that. So yeah. How
Oh,
long does it take us? Like an hour to set up? About.
oh, okay. So you got
Yeah.
it down pretty good. That's with everybody?
Yeah, we're pretty good. Yeah,
Wow.
sound check goes pretty quickly now because it's just
Hmm.
a little more familiar. I mean, depending on the venue, obviously it's
Right.
different each time, but
And what is your after? Do you guys have an after show ritual or anything that you do after the shows?
we really don't. So our bass player lives kind of far away, and he has 2 really young kids, so he's kind of pretty much
Mhm.
rolling when he can. I help Butch typically with the loadout and the gear. Drummers have their own situation, and it takes a lot of time for them. So after the show, we really don't do much. A lot of times, Butch and I kind of end up um, debriefing a little bit. We'll have some long conversations, kind of thing. But if that is, yeah, our little ritual that happens probably 50 to 60% of the time.
Hmm. Yeah, mine was more of a downfall for me because I'd have to go to, Whataburger afterwards at, at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
That would be a
Yeah.
better ritual, but yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah. I mean, some people do a lot of different things. Others like you said, they have responsibilities. They have to get home. They have to leave. Others debrief. Others go over. Do you also realize that the mistakes that you make on stage, and all musicians make mistakes, how do you take those? Because I know that as musicians, we can sit around afterwards and say, wow, I really messed that up, or hey, you really made a mistake there. The audience doesn't have a clue. They don't know that you messed that up. They
yeah.
don't know anything about what went into that or how it was, how it was done. uh do you find yourself kind of focusing on those types of things?
So I have evolved in that area actually. In the beginning, with the duo with Trevor, very early on, I would make a mistake and I would go, I would make the face, I would make the noise, I would
Yeah.
just be undone the whole rest of that song and the next one and the next one because I was just beating up on myself for that mistake. Um,
Right.
so now I have learned just keep rolling, pretend like nothing happened, mess up the lyrics, blah blah blah, make something up, go along with it.
Mhm.
Mostly, no one's gonna know anything. When stuff happens with the full band and someone's off, or we miss a beat, or I come in too late, or I come in too early, or just roll it over one more, go around one more time, and
Yeah.
we all try to be pretty. We're not out to get each other like that, like you know
Right.
just kind of keep it going. So I used to really, really beat up on myself for that. I don't at the end, I'll just say, hey, sorry, I screwed up on this one. Sorry, I came in too early on that one. We all do it here and there. So it's like, it's
Right.
even Steven across the board for the most part.
Right. And that's good. That's good, because some people take it so hard,
Yeah.
that they messed up something, and, they definitely should not. It does happen. It's going to happen to everybody, no matter how many years you've been doing it, for 3 years or you've been doing it for 30 years. I've seen the best of the best make mistakes on stage, professional musicians and all these, famous musicians make mistakes, and it's all about, hey, let it go. It's going to happen. No big deal.
Yeah.
Right. So let me ask you quickly about your since you kind of got into it a different way than a lot of people would get into it. You probably don't have like people who have inspired you to become singers, but now that you have experimented with all of these different songs and all these different vocalists, male, female, who are some of your like singers that you are impressed with the most?
I would have to, the first thing that comes to mind, just Janis Joplin.
Of course.
I don't know why I love her Bobby McGee, and I love her songs. They were really kind of tough for me at first, and I didn't know how to project the way she does in that Bobby McGee song. So I would always kind of tone it down. I would drop it down. I don't know, I guess taking a little more risk with it, and kind of I feel like I embody it every time I sing that song, and I'm not, stuck up in my head. Oh. So artists that are just, they, like I said, embody the song. It just, they are what they are singing.
Right.
She was one of those people to me.
Yeah, because Janis was she was a feel artist. You know what I mean? All of her songs that she sang, it wasn't that she had such a phenomenal voice. She had a growly voice. A lot of people back even at that time would even be like, she didn't have a very good voice. Yeah. I thought she had a phenomenal voice, but it's the feel that people are experiencing, not the vocal style. You can listen to Steve Perry and say, Steve Perry has a beautiful voice. Janis Joplin had the feel. Every single one of her songs were done with feeling. And that's what really comes out. It's like a David Gilmour solo on a Pink Floyd record. You feel that. And that's what comes to light.
Yeah, exactly. And the same thing for me, Stevie Nicks, it's all those songs. It's all emotion. I mean, everything is about emotion, and you feel that I feel that when I listen to those songs. And when I sing those songs and I feel that, and something that I connect to, that's the most fun for me. And that's the most present I get to be with the song, and connect with emotionally to the song. And that's where I think I perform best as well. So,
right. Well, with the vast amount of music that's out there right now, are there any songs out there that you want to do that you haven't gotten to yet, that you've heard?
Yeah. We have some back burner, a long back burner list, but I want to do a song by The Cult.
Okay.
And I want to do Lady Marmalade.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
It's vocally challenging. Yes. Very good.
Yep. So they're on the back burner. Kind of not really. We've played around with the Cult song. Which one were we doing? Not Fire. What's the other one? Name some Cult songs. To go to my list to remember. She Sells Sanctuary is one. Yeah. But, again, it's the high energy. We do a lot of high energy songs, and
you do mix it up between dance music, classic rock, country, all types of songs. That all happens in one show, in one specific show.
Yeah, it's all over the place. Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And that's very difficult because a lot of people have to stay within their kind of style, in order to pull off a song. And if you and the other musicians in the band are able to pull off different genres, in one show, then that's a great show. Because you're really doing it for everybody out there. You're not just saying, hey, come on, we're going to be playing a bunch of Motley Crue, or we're going to be doing a lot of Led Zeppelin or a lot of Rush, or something like that. You're adding everything. So anybody out there can literally come to your show and at least have a couple of songs that they know they identify and they could like.
Yeah. Yeah. We do get a lot of positive feedback on our set lists. People really enjoy the variety. And again, we try to keep it upbeat for the most part because, people want to dance and we want them to be happy. It's not, I feel like ultimately when I see people smiling and singing along and dancing and enjoying, makes my day, makes my night. When I can't pull someone in and they're not engaged, and it's really it makes things a lot more difficult all around to just enjoy things, because I want them to enjoy it, and I feed off of that a lot, that energy. But I think that's
key. Well, and we are feeding off of them and they are feeding off of us. And if we can't reach them, then, that's what that's really our goal. For us to be up there, our reward is to see them dancing or them singing along with us, or them at least just getting into it. And of course, certainly that applause at the end of the song,
Yeah.
So
awesome.
it's what it's all about. And are you over your stage fright or first song jitters? Because I have probably, which I knew you were going to say, because you have that in you. I will tell you that I have been performing for, I don't even know. It's got to be 30, 40 years. Okay. I still get nervous when I do stuff. I'm still concerned about that first note, because I know that first note is either going to come out clean and then I can get going. But if one of them frogs jump out of my throat right away, then I'm like, oh no, I got to fix this,
So, I mean, like stage fright, I'm not at that level of fright. I mean, I do have a healthy level of just a little, good nervousness and anxious and wanting, to make sure things go really well, and a little sweatiness, and, hoping that some friends come out to support. I'm always happy to see I want the venue to do well on a day that we're there, because it's really important that, they make money and have people coming in, and, we're part of that. So I think about those kinds of things as well. And that stuff makes me a little anxious, because I want the venue to be happy with us, and the guests happy with us. And, but overall, I would say there's just a healthy level of anxiety that motivates me to do well. As far as the frogs jumping out, I push hard on certain songs, and when somehow things end up back to like two heavy songs back to back, and I this happened yesterday. We had Bobby McGee, and then we had Paris next to each other, and they're both kind of push songs. I was like, I just hope my voice doesn't crack, because I kind of strained some, and in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't want to think about don't crack, because if you think about don't crack, you're going to crack.
You're going to crack. Right.
But yeah. So hope, and if you crack, you crack. I mean,
exactly.
We're human, right? What's the worst going to happen?
Right. You smile, you move on, and you go on to the next song.
Exactly.
All right. So I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Before we go, and I do want you to stay on after we stop the recording, so hang on with me afterwards. But I do have a question for you. How do you advertise? Because there's what people have to understand is that when a band is hired to do a show at a venue, there is a responsibility on both parts. The venue, and maybe here's what people may not understand completely. A venue could have the attitude of, look, I'm hiring you as a band to come out and make us money. That's why I'm paying you. I want you to bring those people in. And on the band side, though, the band side is thinking, all right, look, well, I'm going to bring all my equipment. I'm going to do all this stuff. That's what you're paying for. But I also need the venue to help out in getting people in there also, bring them regulars, advertise. What type of advertising do you do when your band is playing out?
I go out to venues. I support other musicians. I let people that are there know about our upcoming shows. Facebook is just a giant resource. That's kind of the bulk of our advertising. But yeah, getting out several nights a week to different venues, to open mics, to support other bands, and just kind of letting them know. And my work, where I work, I work as a speech language pathologist in a neurology clinic, and I work with stroke and brain injured and neurological disorders, and a lot of them come to rehab, go home, and they don't do fun things anymore. So I try to tell that, and it's not like an advertising trying to, get people in the venue sort of thing. It's for my patients. You need to get out. Like, and they come. If it's a daytime show, it's easier because they're all, a little older and get to bed early. Yeah. But yeah, so that's another little angle. They bring their spouse, they bring their families, and it's good all around. It's really good for them too. So I love that. Happened yesterday when we had our show, and I had a bunch of people from my work there, and it's just so great to see them coming in and really enjoying themselves. But I did a song. I did "Crazy Bitch" by Buck Cherry.
Okay.
And I started in the song. I mean, these guys, they're all in their 70s. Some of them were above 80 years old. And I'm like, oh my God. After the song was over, I was like, just on Monday, forget I did this. Just forget about this. Cause it's there was a little vulgarity. They were actually all okay with it. I went out and apologized after. They were cool with it. But yeah, so back to your advertising question. That's Facebook is giant.
It is. Yes. And I'll say this too about people who come out and see you play, that work with you during the day, is that they get to see that other side, and I think that that's important for a lot of them. It's therapy in itself. It's like when we were younger, your teacher, you would never think of a teacher going out and doing it. If you saw one of your teachers at a grocery store, you're like, oh my gosh, what is my teacher doing at a grocery store? So now to see you up on stage doing therapy with them during the day, and now you're out there singing these songs out there, I'm sure that they are just impressed, and they're like, wow, that's different side of Kelly that I now know, Yeah,
it's really funny. It's a whole alter ego kind of thing. Right. Very, very different, but they love it, and they know the songs, and it's like you said, it's therapeutic all around. And it just kind of warms my heart that they are enjoying something and doing something different than they normally would, just because of our situation. So yeah.
Right. Well, Kelly, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Got to have a lot of people out there that got to come and see you. You're a great talent out there in the bands, with Velvet Crush, and just the things that you're doing out there. Music is therapeutic. Music makes people happy. And the fact that you can combine all these different genres together, very impressive. I think, everybody, if they have that opportunity, go out there. So where could people get to see, not the venues, where can people log on to see either videos or get to know who you are? Besides, I know you're on Facebook quite a bit.
Yeah, that's it.
Give us the pages. So do you have a YouTube page at all?
Yeah, you can search Velvet Crush Band AZ on YouTube, and some videos will come up there as well. But all of our stuff is on the Facebook.
On Facebook? Okay.
Yeah, all of our stuff is on Facebook. We do have some videos on YouTube if you just search the band name.
Yeah, I just saw the Goodbye to You one.
Oh yeah, that was from us.
Yeah, Scandal is definitely a band that it's one of the guilty pleasures, that a lot of people have from back in the day of listening to those types of songs. So we certainly appreciate you keeping those things alive.
Yeah, I love that stuff. So it's fun for me.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. And for everybody else out there just living in the limelight, I'm your host, Anton Scholl. Kelly, thank you for joining us. And
thank you so much, Anton. Thank you for having me.
You. All right. Hang on with me and we'll talk afterwards. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you again next week. Thank you for joining our Living in the Limelight podcast with your host, Anton Scholl. Please feel free to comment, like, follow, share, and subscribe, and also add us to your playlist on your favorite streaming sites. Thanks again for joining, and we'll talk to you again next week.